everybody. Hope you're having a good day, and let's get into another rookie review. I just did Scoot Henderson, and now we're going to do one that I'm very excited about. Brandin Podziemski made an all-rookie team this year after being drafted outside the lottery. Was a prospect I loved a lot coming out, so I'm so happy to see him succeeding. And we're going to discuss kind of everything he does well, and then the questions that pertain to, how high his ceiling can get. But drop a like, comment, subscribe. All of that would be hugely appreciated. You all are the best. Let's get into it. And the obvious thing that pops about Podziemski is how veteran he is. He's not crazy old. I think he's like 20. He was like a 21-ish year old rookie, which is like older, but not like Trayce Jackson-Davis, this rookie teammate, is 23. But Podziemski seamlessly fit into the Warriors, famously difficult offense with lots of motion. And how many rookies could seamlessly fit into the Warriors like post split action? First here as a cutter. He sets up going around the screen, but then cuts baseline, really just heady play, finishing with his offhand. And then later in the season, we're going to see him running this action as the initiator from the post with Draymond and Steph and hitting the slipper. This is a lot of responsibility for a rookie. Like Moses Moody and Gary Payton and Kuminga, don't get this kind of responsibility. They don't do this. But Podziemski has the ridiculous feel for the game and basketball intelligence to make this stuff work. And he's just such a smart player, and I love watching these type of guys who Pods knows his limitations. He knows he's not the quickest guy in the world, so he loves to stampede into drives or just sprint into the catch is what I mean when I say that, which creates a little advantage, decelerates, hangs in the air, and it hits the laydown to Trayce Jackson-Davis. His passing is phenomenal. Interior, exterior, skip passing, and he is a monstrous offensive rebounder as well for a guard. Always not just strong and good at timing the ball, but just very active and always giving guys trouble in terms of players don't box out, he's going to punish them, where Podziemski gets his own rebound over Victor Wembanyama and he puts it up and ends up finishing. You have to be so diligent playing against a guy like Podziemski who is always going to crash the glass. There's 4 nuggets in the paint here, and no one boxes out Podziemski. He gets the offensive rebound, kicks it out to Clay, hits a 3. These are little plays that add up over the course of a season, and especially in the playoffs, that Podziemski is bringing as a rookie. And that's kind of a you have it or you don't type thing, right? And Podziemski very clearly has it. The spacing isn't great here on when Podziemski catches the ball. Kind of crowded. A lot of rookies would probably freeze up, not know what to do, but nope, immediate flow into a dribble handoff. Klay Thompson hits a 3. This is advanced stuff, and Podziemski doing all of this as a rookie, basically from the jump. There was very little adjustment period, is really impressive. And his passing as a pick and roll initiator was great. Love him setting this up, rejecting the screen, bounce pass to Trayce Jackson-Davis, who's also an awesome player. I don't know if I'm going to do a full video on Trayce Jackson-Davis, but he's great, and I'm very excited to continue to watch him grow. But again, we see this manipulation that Podziemski's so good at moving guys with his eyes, where high-level stuff, right? He's looking at a spot where there's no defender here, but Isaiah Joe, because he's not tracking Santos here, he doesn't know where the guy is. He assumes that his man is in the corner, but Podziemski whips it down. That is high-level passing manipulation, high-level passer stuff, and it's not normal rookie stuff. We're going to say that a lot. It's a lot of not normal rookie stuff. And Podziemski's, I think, already one of the better skip passers in the league. Just his timing at reading low taggers and firing skip passes right at the deepest point of their tag so they can't recover is already really great. That's something he did really well in college, and it's something that immediately translated to the league. And again, we see a stampede here, which Podziemski is so good at, attacking Lillard into a sprint off the catch, draws the help. His decision making is so quick, and I love that about Podziemski, because a lot of young players are not confident and decisive, right? They'll dilly-dally, they'll turn the ball over when they try to go fast, but Podziemski is reading the floor quickly, and he can move fast and read the game slowly at the same time, which that's what makes special players, right? That's what all the elite playmaker feel guys do, but Podziemski's doing this as a rookie, and there's some growing pains as a passer, right? He's gonna have to learn when to throw these lobs, when to go in as a scorer. On a play like this, he probably would have been better off just trying to go to the rim, because Jackson Hayes is sitting down and making this a tough lob. This is all kind of pretty basic stuff, though. I don't see any glaring issues as a playmaker. he's not perfect when it comes to timing and placement always, but we see when he does get this lob, right? Reject again. He's so good at rejecting these screens. Draws the help, immediate lob to Kuminga. Like, it's nothing crazy like on these plays, but it is very good for a rookie and valuable. Like, these are plays that matter and plays that move the needle. Like, again, not perfect. He's not always super accurate with his right hand as a passer, which, you know, that's his weak hand. It makes sense. Great job seeing Kuminga backdooring LeBron here. Just can't place it in the right spot. And those are issues that, as I talked about with other rookie reviews, that I think the technical passing stuff is quite fixable. And I do think when it comes to Podziemski, he's a great player. He's going to be a fantastic role player for a long time. My questions revolve around his ceiling. How good can he be? And there are some obvious physical limitations, right? I think we see Podziemski like sprinting into catches so often because he's not explosive. And even doing that, he can't create much of an advantage here, ends up not finishing. Like, he's an incredible touch guy, but he does take a lot of tough shots just because he will struggle to generate clean advantages off the dribble. Against a great defender in Jared Vanderbilt, he just can't really get much space here, ends up missing. So this is like the big question is like, how can he mitigate his inability to create advantages from a standstill? And I think there's some like refinement here in terms of like playing off 2 feet and the kind of basic rookie finishing issues that everyone has. But there is a lot of reliance on his touch and his craft, and his touch and craft are phenomenal, as we'll get into. I understand why he relies on them as much as he does, but I do think it's probably not sustainable for him to be a legit creator relying on the touch and the craft the way that he does. And you can see he just like doesn't really get up in traffic. Like, he's not super explosive vertically. He has to put a ton of air and arc on this ball with his offhand. And I love his willingness to shoot and try these tough shots with his right hand, but I think there are clear physical limitations when it comes to his like interior scoring and the advantage creation on drives. I don't think that's super controversial or anything. And right, he's just not able to get a step here on Corey Kispert. He loves this deceleration move, which we'll get into, and he's amazing at it. But I do think he can over-rely on it, where I wish he would just either have the ability or willingness to get, one, I think, improve his flexibility, right? Because he's pretty upright on this drive, and even like at its deepest, he's still like fairly upright. Like, punch the gas and go, right? But Podziemski loves to decel and hit those shots, and it makes sense because he is really great at them, as we're going to discuss quite a bit throughout this. There's a lot of, like I said, tough finishes in traffic. So can Podziemski do enough to compensate for these kind of finishing issues? And I think the answer might be yes. His craft and skill are phenomenal. He basically fakes a reverse here. Like, it looks like in this freeze frame, he's going up to his left, and that's what Ayton is playing, right? But he switches hands in midair to his right hand and finishes. Like, that is ridiculous shit. He is incredibly savvy and has all of these like tiny marginal advantages that he gets over guys. And like I said, the deceleration is phenomenal. He is so good at slowing down, right? Naz Reid turns his hips, chases Podziemski to the baseline, but he hits the brakes and floats it over him, twists his body, like, and he flexes on him. I absolutely love his just like demeanor as well on the court is so infectious. And he hits the beautiful like Jaylen Brown trademark step through where he kind of looks like a travel, but they're not ever going to call it. And Podziemski just fooling a defender, because you do have to respect his jumper quite a bit. And he is an awesome post scorer as well. Like, look at him taking Nick Claxton off of the dribble here. You can't create an advantage, right? Because Claxton's an incredibly tough perimeter defender to beat, but patient, pumps, footwork, lefty high hook shot. It's beautiful stuff. It's very retro, and I enjoy how different he plays to a lot of guards in the league. And I like how the Warriors are willing to lean into him as a post scorer. Like, they'll run plays like this where Podziemski, like, it looks like they're going to run some kind of twirl action for Steph, but Podziemski just like sprints to the left block here, posts up Halliburton, finishes strong with his left hand. Like, that's legitimately in Podziemski's bag. It has been for a while, and it's a real advantage because he is so big and tall. Like, he is 6'4", 6'5", strong, taller than most point guards, and I think he certainly can play point guard, even if it's not like his full-time position. And again, we see the deceleration, the crazy hang time, the touch to finish over Gobert. His touch is really absurd. Like, he is one of these guys who I think can rely on difficult shot making more than most because he just has crazy touch. Like, he'll do stupid shit like this. Like, he's like, oh, I'm not gonna try to go into Claxton and be physical, right? Because I just don't have those tools. So, whoop, we're gonna skyhook it over. Like, he legit does that skyhook now. Shout out to Xavier Simpson, by the way. That's one of my goats. Captain Hook. Brandin Podziemski is the new Captain Hook. Another, oh my goodness, Dwayne Wade show and go. Like, this kind of crap. He's not creating a ton of separation, but he's so good at handling. He's so good at picking out spots. And I don't really know why Cade went under. I think the other big question I have about his ceiling is cranking up the three-point volume. Because his shooting was awesome this year, I think that's probably the easiest way is to like be taking shots like this. If defenses go under, I need Podziemski to be pulling because he's a great shooter. And regardless here, show and go just fools Duren and Cade. Veteran craft and veteran ball work. It's really phenomenal to watch. And he's such a crafty foul drawer already. He's not like, I don't think he's ever going to be a huge free throw rate guy because of the lack of explosion and strength. Maybe he can get really strong, but does do a good job beating Murray off the dribble. We see the deceleration, the slowdown. Murray jumps over him. That slowdown is really conducive to foul drawing, right? Because defenders, when Podziemski can get a step, defenders will kind of bite in that way. But he's not like a lost cause creation-wise. This play was filthy. Like, he's got a big on a switch. Nurkic on an island. He's like, okay, no funny offense stuff. It's me and him. Beautiful hesitation. Has the burst to torch him off the dribble and hits a off foot, weak hand, like scoop righty finish. Like, that's absurd shit. Like, what the hell, man? And like the confidence he showcased, willing to try and execute these kind of plays. And I think because of how good his handle is, that's another avenue to more creation stuff where Jordan Hawkins is a rookie, but he's so good, like, changing directions. He's not the fastest guy, right? So he's not, like, stopping and starting and accelerating, but he is so good maintaining his momentum while changing direction. And, like, the touch is crazy. I want him to lean more into this. I think he took, like, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but his volume on a per minute basis, so not adjusting for like playing time, wasn't that crazy. And of course he was a rookie, he was playing with Steph and Clay, and it makes sense. But I do think he has the juice to be a legitimately elite off dribble shooter where like he's comfortable taking guys on switches again, stepping back. The moonball three, his arc and touch are just phenomenal to watch. So I think tapping into more of this stuff is going to be really key for Podziemski reaching his ceiling, like jab against Lillard, hand down, man down type jumper. It's beautiful stuff. And I think this is going to be the easiest way for Podziemski to legit become a star. Like isolates against Isaiah Joe, Dirk Fate on the baseline. Like, this is ridiculous stuff. And he did this often. He shot like 40% from three, around 40% on catch and shoots. I know he was an efficient off-dribble shooter too, even if I don't have the numbers right in front of me. Again, another sidestep, beautiful jumper. So this is kind of like a weird rookie review, right? Like, I don't have a ton of bad stuff to say about Podziemski. Like, just gorgeous catch and shoot, no hesitation, barely touches the net at all. Like, just laces right there. There isn't a ton of like projecting forward, developing. Like, he's not a normal rookie. Like, very opposite to the Scoot Henderson video we did before, right? Where we had so much about like physical tools and projection. It's like, no, Podziemski's already a sick player. Where I think the main things, like when it comes to scoring efficiency and creation, we'll discuss as improvement points. But he's a great player regardless, and is on track, at the least, I think, to be a very useful role player. Like, he was that as a rookie, and his defense is phenomenal. I don't think there's as much to talk about on the defensive end as there is on the offensive end, but he's really good, and Podziemski is one of the premier charge takers in the league, which, is polarizing, but it is a legit form of below the rim protection. And his feel for positioning, right? It's not just like the willingness to get in front and take a charge, but it's knowing where to be and when to be, right? Podziemski comes from the weak side as the low man, even though Clay probably doesn't need to help off like that. Sets up, takes a charge on AD, like so willing to be physical. And I think Podziemski, though he's not a crazy vertical athlete, right? He's not like going to leap above the rim. He is a really solid rim protecting guard. He's not Derek White or anything, or Caruso or whatever, but he's very willing to make hard rotations at the rim, to be vertical and contest. And it's not always going to work, right? Just because some players are going to be too big and too athletic for Podziemski, but the willingness to be a physical interior defender. Like, he blocks Pascal Siakam there, ends up deflecting the ball. Like, he's so willing to get dirty and to scrap on the interior in a way that most guards, and especially rookies, aren't. Like, defending the post against Wapreith. Yeah, Wapreith isn't the strongest player in the world, but like fronting the post, not allowing him to get good position, forcing a miss right there. This is rare defensive stuff that you don't see from a lot of guards, right? And a lot of the best guard defenders are like this. Podziemski is a really great like low man tag defender as well. Does a great job here as Embiid has the ball at the free throw line and Draymond comes to double, right? This would normally be Draymond's role. Like, Draymond is the roamer, but the fact that they can trust Podziemski to do it, like Embiid, you know, over the head pump fakes to House, but immediate recovery to Beverly, controlled closeout, contesting a three. Like, these are the little things that, like we saw in the Scoot video, not to call it Scoot or anything, but most rookies don't do. And Podziemski just has the most insane like playmaking instincts. Like, pick six. This is a pick six. This would make the 49ers proud. Like, beautiful read intercepting that pass. And he just is very smart when it comes to reading passing lanes. And it makes sense given how good of a passer Podziemski is and how high his feel is on offense, right? Here's a nice play where the Warriors are playing high at the level. And oftentimes it is, you know, right to beat this with the short roll, but Podziemski's all over this, gets his hand in there without fouling, super controlled and quick and strong hands on defense. And this is all very valuable stuff. I value off-ball defense a ton, always just like in the right spot, and just another example of the crazy shot making right there. Like, he's just so damn good. As like an off-ball defender and the shot making too. But back to defense. If there are some problems, I would say the same kind of physical limitations, right? He's not that big, and my main issue is his issues like slowing down and kind of switching course as a closeout defender, right? Where he'll like sprint into a closeout to try to get reads, but he's just not that great at like immediately switching and moving the other way to try to stick with guys. And I do think, you know, great offenses can exploit that by forcing him to move and forcing him to change directions and all of this stuff. And he's just not the quickest guy at the rim, where Kobe White and guards who are really great at changing directions and changing speeds can kind of lull him to sleep, and he isn't like the quickest laterally. So I do think on the ball there are some limitations for sure, and that will probably be the biggest limiter, therefore, of his true defensive impact at the highest level. But he's far from a bad, you know, on-ball defender projected. Like, ends up getting called for a foul here, which I don't know if, you know, I don't know about that one. Yeah, I guess he kind of got him on the hand there. But regardless, I love Podziemski taking Najee Marshall's drive in the chest, not folding, and still contesting this shot. Like, even if he's not the strongest guy in the world, he is obscenely physical and will, you know, put his hands up. And again, plays like this, where this is a great contested bucket by Anthony Simons, but he's defending this as well as he can, right? He's moving his feet, his hands are up, he's not fouling, he's playing straight. Like, it's really good technical stuff, which again, very opposite of most rookies. And he'll pick defenders like who are, you know, he'll just cookies guys who aren't necessarily as attentive. Like, yeah, you can't be lazy with the ball around Podziemski. He is going to rip you, and he's going to make you pay. And that really is the key with Podziemski. He is a platonic ideal warrior. He makes winning basketball plays, whether it's cutting on offense, making smart passes, you know, off-ball defense. And I think, you know, combined with that, he has some really high-end traits, whether that's the deceleration, his touch, some of the shooting upside, his off-dribble pick-and-roll playmaking, that could lean him into being a star in like a Lowry-ish, a Fred VanVleet-ish role, a couple Raptor guards that, you know, shades of. They're obviously very different players from Podziemski, but these kind of, you know, non-traditionally athletic guards who are so strong and good in other ways. And regardless of Podziemski's ceiling, like, he's just going to be such a good player for such a long time. Like, we saw what he did with the Warriors this year, and I think like being a role player early allows you to have a higher ceiling, right? Because you can get on the floor, you can experiment with stuff, and like I said, I think if Podziemski can really jack the 3-point volume up, maybe in a post Steph Curry world, whenever that ends up being, it wouldn't shock me to see him having some seasons where he like sniffs all-star conversations. I don't know if he's going to actually make one, but I really do think that's within his range of outcomes. So let me know what you think about Podziemski, one of my favorite rookies in this whole class. This was such a fun video to make. Like, going from grinding that like horrible Scoot Henderson Blazers tape to like watching a bunch of Podziemski was awesome, even if the Warriors weren't a perfect team last year. But anyways, I'm rambling. Have a great day.